I'm not saying we should eradicate everything that Andre doesn't like. I'm saying we need to ask better questions and expect different results. And the other thing that's been kind of like settling on me weird is the corporate media's fascinate or their desire to have an interview. Get out of here.
With Trump?
No, with Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah.
They get like, they're just like, well, she hasn't had an interview yet. So? Like,
yeah. Why would you run the risk of derailing what's going on?
It's not
right
even
now?
that. It's not even important.
Well, that too.
It's just not important. Like,
but no, but it's the thing that the Republicans pointed out, and now the mainstream media is like, well, maybe that's a good question. Why haven't we gotten to interview Kamala?
Care.
And that's and I mean, if you don't know who the woman is by now,
right? What are we doing?
You may never ever know her.
What are we talking about? Like we're you guys, like, I do not have the. I think that corporate media, and I don't know, I think I stole that term from either David Pacman or somebody, or Luke, whatever, Beasley. Luke, I don't remember what his name is. But they are just out there for the clicks. Like, I'm finding it very hard to, even NPR, I'm finding it very hard to believe people are like journalists who believe in that whatever their mission statement is are really doing their job in the States because they're so well paid, because it's all about getting engagement, because it's all about ad dollars more so than the news. I just find it hard to believe. I don't deserve you. You don't deserve. You don't deserve an answer from me. Like, I'm sorry.
I think you're not wrong in that. All of those guys are driven by the same metrics, and that's ad revenue.
But I keep saying that if you're a journalist, you are either a snitch or you love to gossip. There's got to be something in your DNA that is aligned with that, because a normal person isn't on that train.
But don't you also think that the role of journalism is extremely important?
Honestly, I don't know anymore. Like, I really don't know. Case in point, Landslide is a podcast from NPR.
Yeah.
Do I have some bias because it supports my opinion and my beliefs? Sure.
Yeah, sure.
But I could also fact check the fact checker or the person reporting the story. But that's off the beaten path, right? I don't know.
But how are you going to fact check that?
Well, I mean,
aren't you going to look for corroborating articles and stuff like that?
Sure, fair, right? I mean, history is history, right? They're looking in the past, but the past is determinate. So
but isn't a lot of what we consider to be history now, doesn't it come from that journalistic viewpoint?
I don't know, Chris. And if you're trying to...
No, I'm playing devil's advocate to some degree, because I do think that there is a role for an unencumbered press in a democracy, that the ability to investigate and report what is going on is important. That the idea that things, I get top secret and all that, you got to have some things that aren't going to be just completely publicly available. But, I just feel like there's enough stuff out there. That'd be like Watergate. I guess, because I've seen that movie a bunch of times. But that's one where, like, those guys were like, hey, something's wrong here.
But that's then. We're talking about now.
Well, no, but that's what I'm trying to get at as well, is that, yes, where we are now, where we've allowed the press to get to, or where the press has taken themselves in a lot of ways, is not valuable.
Right.
Right. And we should not continue to encourage that.
Right.
But I think moving back towards a less profit driven, I guess, model to some degree. But
then you kill the the industry, right? So there's
theoretically, yeah. I mean, there are very, profitable nonprofits, right? There are nonprofits that pay their employees well, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the answer is, because you don't want it to be completely government funded, because then the belief is that there will be government bias and that the government could control what's coming out of that, and that makes sense.
I'll push back. The BBC, the CBC, Australia's public networks. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
But if all of the news organizations, say in the country, were receiving some amount of funding from the government, don't you think that there would be some concern that the government would then leverage that to be like, we don't like what you're reporting and we're not going to give you your funding if you don't?
The Fed is nonpartisan. We have a few nonpartisan departments and commissions in our country. So I don't have an answer, and I understand what you're saying.
I don't either. Again, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, and you're pissing me off.
Well, that's part of my role here on this show, Andre. I don't know if you know that. This is your show, though, so I'll let you.
No, I'm saying I don't have it. I feel cornered, and I don't. And it's.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know.
It's something. It's something that should be solved because it's important, and I don't have an answer. That's my point.
I think I can wholeheartedly agree with that, because I don't have an answer either. But I do think that it is something that we need to figure out, because the way that things are going, it's not helping anyone.
I mean, I've been not teetering, but I've noticed that there are things on social media that are being reported in other places in the world that aren't being covered on corporate media. So are there benefits to social media? Sure. Do the bad things seem to kind of drown out the good things? Most definitely.
Absolutely.
So I'm there. It's kind of like, I have a strong position, but I can recognize and acknowledge there are some good things. Doesn't sway my opinion, right?
I have a funny little anecdote to add, I think, to this that you will appreciate. So, your best friend, your boy, Brian Tyler Cohen.
Oh, yeah.
So he got me. He's the one who actually introduced me to Tim Miller at the Bulwark, who I really enjoy. But I stopped listening to BTC, and you know why? Because he made fun of me for having a shared cell phone plan. Anyways, it wasn't even him, I don't think. But so he was on Tim Miller's podcast the other day, and he was explaining that when the whole way that he got into journalism was that he moved to LA to become an actor.
Yeah, he looks the type.
And that instead of going out and getting a job as a waiter or a bartender, he was writing freelance for the Huffington Post or something like that.
Why not?
And that's how he got started and all of that. And I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, he looks like an actor. He's a good looking.
He does, yeah.
But I guess you're just proving my point. It's I don't.
Okay, but so here's another question that I have for you, and this will probably piss you off even more. How much of this do you think is somewhat to blame on television and the role of kind of having these anchors and these TV personalities, as opposed to where you previously had investigative reporters and stuff like that who basically hid behind a typewriter? You didn't have to see them, but however they were able to then present the information.
I don't think.
Do you think that
I don't think. No? I don't think the two are connected. I think that.
You don't think that it draws a different type of person to do media, corporate media, the way that it's done today versus the type of journalism that was done, say, in the 70s?
No.
At newspapers?
No. Well, there's two reasons I would say no, because a lot of the people that are in journalism today are legacy journalists, or they went to the right school, knew the right people. So I think that's part of the thread that could be pulled. The second part is
go Heels.
The second part is
they have a school of journalism, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
It's a very popular one, if I recall correctly.
I think Brown has turned out the most journalists or famous journalists, but I also I also think
it's okay. Yale has turned out the most creepy senators.
I know. So. Tell me about it.
Sorry, I'll stop with my non sequiturs over here.
Looking at you, Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
I think that the consolidation of media is the problem more so than the personalities, right?
Okay.
Because but I'm not trying to knock there's a few people from a YouTube channel. I've seen The Perfect Union. I'm sure they do other stuff. They do great reporting on things like in Puerto Rico or why is fast fashion killing things. So that's informative, right? I don't know how they stay funded. I don't want to look because if I move the furniture and I find the hole in the carpet, I'm going to be pissed.
Yeah. You're going to find out that that's where JD Vance has been hanging out.
And then there's JD Vance. So I think there's some value. There's value in things. I'm not saying we should eradicate everything that Andre doesn't like. I'm saying we need to ask better questions and expect different results.
Yeah.
If you get too far off your mission, you should probably reevaluate.
And I think, I agree with you that things are off kilter enough that we absolutely need to figure out how to fix it. I guess I was asking questions to help understand how we maybe got here, and in the hopes that would help you and I maybe come to some sort of solution.
Case in point, the Donald Trump at the NABJ.
Oh yeah, the Nabaja.
Yeah,
no, the NABJ.
He got murdered by questions, and I was like, yo.
Which assassination attempt do you think he preferred more?
I don't. I mean, yeah.
I'm thinking the one that actually threatened his life. He'd probably, if he had to pick between doing one of those over again, he'd take that one.
I don't think so. But if that's what journalism is, and you take a position of influence in our society, all day.
Two of the three ladies on that panel fucking crushed it.
Yo, he had nothing. It's like
he had the one chick from Fox News. That was all he had, and the best part was he couldn't fucking hear a word she said because of whatever problems they were having with the mic. And I swear, if somebody did that on purpose, again, just chef's kiss to be like, I can't hear her. What's going on? Like making him look like such a crotchety old man. In front. My favorite part, though, is the line where he's talking about, I don't even remember, but he says, and this is a room of mostly black journalists.
One of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming. And
I'm like, do you not know who the fuck you are? And they literally laughed at him because they're like, motherfucker, we're all black. That's the whole point of this. Do you not? Mostly black journalists. Also, after he decided that, he was going to play the what race is Kamala card, the way that he pronounced the word black.
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir.
Over and over again. Was that not the most racist fucking thing you could have done?
I don't care what people tell me. He's a racist piece of shit.
He is so racist. And then the fucking Twitter interview with Elon Musk where he's going on and on about the picture of Kamala on the cover of the
and he says
Time magazine.
She looks like my wife. I'm like, so remember we talked about the Teen Titans show and how people are mad because Starfire is black.
Yeah.
And I said one of the reasons, the main reason is because they can't sexualize her.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, man, like hands down, there is a weird fixation with sexualization in our society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this guy wants to be the president and he's like trying to get his spank bank filled up. And he's like, oh, she looks like my wife. Like, what are we doing here? Like, I can't take you seriously.
But I mean, when it comes to the things sexually that Donald Trump has said,
he's a rapist.
But this is at the very bottom of that list, basically, right? Like the dude said he'd fuck his own daughter.
I don't.
The guy said, grab him by the pussy.
I don't
like all this shit. I'm just saying, like saying Kamala is hot on the cover of Time magazine is not even scratching the list of top 50 worst things that Donald Trump has said since he started running for president.
Fair. I just...
And it's still fucked up because ultimately what it is him trying to basically like strip her of everything except for sexuality.
And I just think that's weird, yo.
It's super weird, but he thinks that that's a power dynamic.
I'm going to say this. I know that Tim Walz is like, he threw out weird. Maybe he's like a normal person. I've been saying weird shit for a long time. So I'm glad the DNC and the Democrats are finally like speaking plainly to people. It's great. It's amazing.
Thanks for checking out the Chris and Andre show. Remember, unlike yourself in middle school, those like and subscribe buttons aren't going to hit themselves. And be sure to leave a comment with your favorite part of the show or a topic you'd like us to cover in the future. As always, stay salty.